That is there.
I have to tell you this quiet. If Mark comes on, I'll stop talking. But I have to tell you this quietly because my wife's in the other room.
Oh dear.
And she already knows. No, she already knows the story. There's a guy. He's an actor who I've known for years. David Heel. He used to do stand-up. Wasn't that good, but he's a very successful. Law and Order. He's been on NCIS. So the other day he calls me out of the blue, or no, he texts me out of the blue. And he says, I'm doing a play at the Soho Playhouse, and why don't you come by and I'll take you to lunch? So I said, okay. So we go to lunch, and I mentioned that I have a daughter, and I mentioned that Cassie, who's prone to be, and I don't mind this at all, a bit of a smart ass, said something kind of smart assy, and he went, come on. And I thought that was a little overboard to talk about my daughter. And so then he says, I'm a Republican. I said, I don't care. There's a guy I Zoom with, you, Jason, who's a Republican, and I like him, so it's not a big deal. But then he started going all Fox Newsy on me.
Oh, dear.
And I said, there's a difference between being a Republican and being in denial about Trump's evil. And he said, you don't think Trump's a good president? I said, I hope Trump dies before I finish this sentence. And so then we talked a little more, and he said, listen, why don't you come out to my place in Hoboken, which is about 10 miles from New York City, and, have dinner at our place. And I wasn't going to do it because of what he said about my daughter. Oh, I was just playing out the string.
Yeah.
And so then he says to me, are you going to, you said you wrote a play. Are you going to send it to me or not? Well, I never said I was going to send it to him. So I said, all right, I'll send it. And I sent it to you. And he said, I didn't ask you for this play. And I went, oh, okay, he's crazy. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So the best thing that could happen to me, the best possible thing that could happen to me is that he never contacts me again. And so far, that's been good. That's been happening.
And you tell me you don't believe in Jesus. I can't believe it.
Not a lot. There's a wonderful comic, Bill McCarty, who says, I don't think it's fair when people say that the Jews killed Jesus. We do think they sold him the lumber. That's a great joke. That's a great joke.
Well, you want to get it wholesale. I mean, come on.
Well, exactly.
I mean, do you think, look around.
Lumber liquidators is not the way to go because they'll rip you off.
Do you see a lot of trees around Golgotha? No, you don't.
No.
So this stuff ain't cheap.
Okay, so we're live now, Mark?
We got to get a price.
We're live.
Are we live now, Mark? Yeah, we're live.
I see live right now. So we're live, guys. Hi. This is the what do we call this thing? The unorganized.
Off.
I mean, it's the what is it?
It's the off night.
Off night. There we go. Thank you.
Are you channeling Joe Biden there, Andy?
Easy.
I did. That's very good.
At least Joe can spell polls.
There we go. Man, I tell you, I keep dropping. I just keep dropping lines. I keep dropping jokes. I'm watching these shows now about how you get your brain back in order somehow. So,
the only way I'm going to be able to do it is mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with a 12 gauge. But I'm going to wait till at least there's a passing group of Jehovah Witnesses or something.
Should I take it as a cry for help or just
mouth to mouth with the 12 gauge is awfully graphic.
That's kind of a graphic cry for help.
I saw a lot of Sam Peckinpah movies recently, so I mean subtlety really isn't sort of playing in at this point in time.
Okay.
My favorite character is from any Sam Peckinpah movie is from The Wild Bunch. Warren Oates.
Yeah. Yes.
Who played Ben Johnson.
Yes.
Played these brothers. The greatest names ever, Lyle and Tector Gorch.
How drunk were those guys when they said, yes, this is exactly the characters I want. These are the names.
Well, what's his name? Ben Johnson had just come off of an Oscar-winning performance in The Last Picture Show.
Last Picture Show, yeah.
So he was kind of a hot property at the time. And Warren Oates has been working all his life.
Yeah, up until about the day he died. I mean,
Yeah.
he died like on location.
And
or
by
something.
the way, as far as them drinking, if William Holden was on that set, there was drinking.
There was drinking.
You know
there
how
was
he died,
alcohol
right?
everywhere. Yes.
Oh yeah. He got too drunk and passed out,
And fell, and his head hit the end of a table,
Right.
and he bled out.
it wasn't anything to do with him hanging himself with Stephanie Powers' underwear in the closet or
No.
anything, or
No, that was
No.
Ray Combs, I believe.
Yeah.
As it is, I regaled a friend of mine with a whole bunch of Natalie Wood washing up on the beach jokes.
David
he
Carradine.
he apparently never heard.
You
the
know the
Wood.
saddest thing about that, besides the fact she died and we lost a beauty,
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
that her biggest fear was drowning.
Well,
Oh,
there
wow.
you
Biggest
got-
fear. Man,
embrace the suck.
God.
You still got to wonder what she's on there with Christopher Walken and RJ, and you got to wonder just what exactly went on that boat that night. I mean,
If you had to guess, and you
I-
do,
I
and you
do.
do, what do you think happened?
Well, of course, let me say allegedly first. I mean,
course.
I didn't get far in law school.
Because none of
but
us know.
I got far enough to know that I don't know. I think RJ killed her.
Real, but why?
I think she was banging Christopher Walken, and that didn't sit well with him.
That's kind of like a strange coincidence because Christopher Walken is gay.
No, he's not.
Well,
Is
That's
he?
why, that was the implication. He's either bisexual or gay.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be in love with Natalie Wood.
Well, there is a
mean,
Robert Wagner theme the other way.
I mean,
Interesting, because Christopher Walken's wife is one of the greatest casting directors in the history of New York, Georgianne Walken.
yeah. That's her.
I've auditioned for things that she's been the casting director on.
Right.
She's one of the very few. And Ned's being asked to added to the show. Mark's got to add him to the show.
We're trying, Ned. We're having technical issues.
Ned, if you can hear me,
Go to the light, Ned. Go to the light.
Type in, Ned. Type
Call
fast.
Call Mark Sweetman and tell him you're here.
And,
Something's going on with Mark Sweetman. We don't know. We're just kind of in limbo. I have a feeling this is a Twilight Zone episode.
we're getting hold of the Jamaican psychic. Remember, the lady she was on in the 80s, Miss. Oh, with the really.
Oh, I
bad,
know who you mean. I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Miss
On the
Cleo.
TV.
Miss
On
Cleo.
the TV. Go ahead.
Yes, remember Miss Cleo with her, with the accent that she was actually in real life a legal secretary.
Wow.
Who worked for a law professor.
Who
I
hit
know
it
that-
big.
Yeah, exactly. I remember because the law professor was the guy who did these law review lecture courses that I used to listen to because I have no life and I really enjoy pain. So I would listen to his lectures on contracts. And
Well, let me ask you a quick question here. I was watching the news, and apparently there's been some explosions on Mars. Something's coming.
every 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, every 3 minutes or so. I just want to let you know. Okay.
Hey, Mark.
You
He's
see
gonna have to
that
go
Ned
for it,
wants
too.
to be
He
on the
can't
show,
get
and so
that
does
lug
Susan
nut off.
Salisbury.
Mark.
Ned and Susan want to be added to the show.
Wow, he looks so much like Hemingway like that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Mark
he
looks like
does.
he's trying to win the Iditarod.
We're laughing with you, Mark, not at you. With you,
You're on
not at
TV,
you.
Mark. You're on
The
TV.
writing hand
Yeah.
having writ moves on.
Call this. We're on your side, Mark. We're on your side.
Ned wants into the studio.
Ned and Susan called, not your Susan Salisbury, and they want to be added to the show.
I wonder if he can hear us.
There's
Yay!
Well, there's
Yeah,
our
yeah,
Susan.
Susan, where's Ned?
there's the poet laureate.
God, I hope that's not Ned. He looks very feminine.
Well, in this day and age, come on, I don't think.
There's Ned.
Yay!
Yay!
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
You can
Our
call me
related
Susan
story,
now.
Susan Salisbury arrested for homicide.
Oh, man.
Ned, how you doing?
Now we lost Mark.
It's fine. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Thanks for including me.
Well, we've been clamoring for you lo these many weeks.
Oh dear.
I've had a great day. I just found out that shrimp has 0 points on Weight Watchers, so I'm very thrilled about that.
Are you a shrimp?
That I'm a shrimp? Well, everyone knows that. But yeah.
0 points. Shrimp has 0 points.
Yep. All fish, all meat, all meat has 0 points. All fruits, all vegetables.
You've
All
never
eggs
been on Grinder.
and
He
eggs.
has quite a bit of points on Grinder.
And eggs have 0.
Huh?
Eggs-
Yes.
eggs
Eggs
are
have 0.
So eggs, fish, and
Eggs, fish, turkey, meat, steak, all that shit. Yeah, they all. Yeah, and see, yeah, shrimp, lobster. Here's the problem, though: when people eat lobster, or they don't eat it without butter. You
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
There'd be
It's
no
an
point.
animal.
I use lemon juice.
Well,
Whatever.
that's like butter.
Well, in the words
I'm hungry now.
in the words of Marlon Brando from the Last Picture Show, get the butter.
Get the
Get the butter.
Get the butter. What a line that was.
My favorite-
Brando was not in the Last Picture Show.
I have
Yes,
2
he
great
was.
Marlon Brando ad libs. One
Yeah.
was he was
You
being
mean-
interviewed a month after
Yeah,
1 month after Apocalypse Now, and one of the reporters asked him a question about his character, and he goes, "Is that the one where I was bald?"
Was that the one where I was bald? Yes.
And then
Ugh.
the second one was when he first came to New York, to Hollywood, after having a great run on Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway, right? And they were kissing his ass. Can we get you anything? Anything you want? Anything you want? He goes, "Can you get my monkey laid?"
Can you get my monkey laid? Thank you.
That should be a.
There's
that
no
should be a
way to
Bob
talk
Dylan
about your
song.
agent.
Say it again.
That's terrible.
What?
Remember these things.
Um, Jeff Ross.
Sure. I knew him when he was Jeff Lipschitz.
He was on the roast of. He's a great roast guy.
Yeah.
He was on. What am I trying to tell you? He was on a roast of Steven Seagal,
Mhm.
who may be the most popular person in all of show business. I'm serious. No one. He ruined it on Saturday Night Live. No one likes him, and so anyway, Jeff Ross gets up and says, "This is so great." He goes, I just saw Steven Seagal's last movie. It was so bad I fired my agent."
Hey, before we go any further, Susan, do you have your poem yet?
I do.
Let's listen to Susan's poem.
Lay it on us.
Okay. Then I'll give you something to talk about, right?
Great.
Ooh.
All right. Here we go. There's a lot of news around the world, war and shootings and injustice hurled. But I'm a poet. That makes me a writer too. So here's what I want to say to you. Making a living as a writer can be very bleak. The Writers Guild of America went on strike last week. Joined by Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, writers make us think. They are awesome inducers. Art Buchwald died in 2007. Bet he'd weigh in all the way from heaven. He wrote a short story, became a film in '88, Coming to America, but the payment didn't rate. Look up this 1990 case, I beg of you. Buchwald versus Paramount. He had to sue. If you read this case, one thing will be clear. Entertainment industry's payments to writers is drear. Production on many sets is now being blocked. Come on, Hollywood money. It is time we talked.
Yay! I know a little bit about that Art Buchwald lawsuit.
Yeah.
And I remember that they asked Eddie Murphy, could he, he said he wrote the script, which was bullshit. And they said, "Can you produce the script?" And he goes, "Well," and the judge said, no, not well. If you wrote it, you have a copy of it. And Eddie Murphy came back and said the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life. "I tore the house up looking for it."
Well, I don't doubt that he had something to do with writing the final version of the script, but there were other scripts, but it's all based on a short story written
By Art Buchwald.
Art Buchwald, yes.
Mhm.
And when options were expired with Paramount, he went over to Warner Brothers and they were going to make it into a film. And then Paramount said, no, wait, we've already cast it. And, but Eddie Murphy had many, many meetings with Art Buchwald and his agents and everything. And he had the short story. They had many different writers write the original screenplays, so there were many versions of it. So Eddie Murphy may have written the final version or parts of it, but there are actual scenes in the film itself that were in Art Buchwald's short story. And so, he convinced the court and he won, and then the option to appeal Paramount abandoned because they didn't want there to be binding case law against them where they'd have to pay their writers,
I can't believe anybody would demand credit for that movie. I would sue to deny that I wrote that movie.
He wanted payment. He wanted to be paid.
I know
what he was owed.
It's a terrible movie. So
it's actually a contract case, and I actually handed it out in that trademark copyright portion I did for Mark's.
I'm on the Zoom.
Workshop.
Yes.
Didn't
I didn't.
Sam, who is that?
That was me. I'm being asked if I fed the cat, which he asked me every night.
I love the fact that this is like we're in a basement. Everybody's in their basement with their parents over the roof. It's like, you feed the cat? No, I didn't feed the cat.
Jesus.
Go ahead.
Anyhow, copyright your stuff and advocate for yourselves. When you need to get paid, you need to get paid.
But wasn't the case finally adjudicated?
Copywriting it, you can always go register with the Writers Guild.
Yeah, Art Buchwald won the case.
Yeah, but wasn't it his heirs that actually collected because Art was gone by the time final adjudication?
No.
No. He didn't die till 2007, so he won the case.
Okay,
but also, one of the things that the contract provided was for a certain percentage of the profits from the film, and Hollywood math keeping
based on
has any profits. So all these films that make buku bucks
never make
negative money. It depends how you do the accounting, and so that was one of the things that was written up in the final opinion. But because they didn't want to sue and lose in the court of appeal, or they didn't want to appeal and lose, which would become binding legal authority, they gave him a bigger payout in a settlement. So it didn't really go any further. But normally when you lose, you would file an appeal. But Paramount didn't want to do that. So that's where it ended, with his winning the judgment.
It took Penny Marshall 7 years to get paid for directing A League of Their Own. 7 years.
What was the issue there? I mean,
that they were cheap pricks trying to screw her.
Okay, but I mean, other than that,
she directed.
That's it.
But she directed.
No. They were told. She was told the movie didn't make any money.
Yeah, that's how Hollywood accounting works. No movie
makes money.
Well, that preceded this.
You never make expenses, so you never make a profit.
Do you remember when Jim Garner sued because they told him that
Rockford
Files never made a penny?
Exactly. Right. Even though it was on TV for 8 years.
Yeah.
In a primetime slot.
Yeah. And he instead of taking a fee, he took a percentage. And he said, you're getting a percentage of nothing. The show lost money.
When I passed out Art Buchwald's case in the class, I mentioned the thing about you got to have your lawyers read it. But if it were me, you just want to make sure that it says that percentage of gross
profit, not net profit.
Net.
Not net.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But that's not legal advice because I'm not an attorney, so I don't give you legal advice. But read your contracts, and contract law, at least here in Michigan, is 6 years.
Right.
So you have, that's like the longest statute of limitations that there is, or one of the longest.
You know
years.
what Jack Nicholson did with Batman, right?
Yeah,
No,
he made money.
He took a cut of the paraphernalia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got the toys.
And he made like $40 million.
Yep.
Right.
This is
And
1989, $40
people were
million.
screaming at him about that, and I'm like, no, you have to get every dollar you can, because no one's buying that stuff but for what you're doing, what you're putting out there. You know, you and believe me, they're going to make money as it is, or they wouldn't agree to the terms to begin with.
You know how you say fuck you in Hollywood?
Trust me.
Trust me, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that line. Trust me.
Let me see, you take all the love in Hollywood in an agent's heart, and you put it in a thimble, and have plenty of room left over. Is the expression? I mean, then
the other one. A friend of what was his name? Oscar Levant. He said that I just had dinner with Jane Mansfield, a woman who evidently mistakes asthma for sex appeal.
Well, heavy breathing, you know.
Yeah, you know.
I think Oscar Wilde said it right. He wasn't talking about Hollywood, but he said that's the place. A friend is someone who stabs you in the front.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these actors now, they produce some of these films that they're in. That way they get a producer's cut.
Right.
So, you know, I'm sure they all have their stories of being
well, I remember one of
the profits they were promised.
One of the final nails in the system where they used to keep the actors under contract, where they had to perform a certain number of times over a period of time, and then if they denied a film, then that time was spent. It would automatically extend the contract because they weren't going to work for a period of time. But it finally came to an end with, of all people, Robert Reed. We all remember Robert Reed.
Mr. Brady.
Well, I was going to say the first transvestite on television, the one at Medical Center who got his dingus removed after a 2-part episode that did win an Emmy.
Incredibly ugly woman.
Well, you know, he didn't pull it off.
He was in Roots.
He was also in The Defenders with E.G. Marshall.
Yeah, the first actor.
Look, he was a good actor, and
he was originally a screen actor who was under contract, and eventually he came to trial over the terms of his contract because they were dicking him around, and they finally said, okay, no, enough of this. What you're doing here simply it doesn't play into the rules, because contracts usually have to cover a set period of time. And because
Olivia de Havilland actually was the first person to challenge the studio system.
Who was?
Yes,
Olivia de Havilland, and she won.
She was also one of the first people ever photographed. I mean, she had been around for a while.
Well, a contract has to have certain elements in order for it to be a contract.
Exactly. Timeliness is one of them.
Right. You have to have and it doesn't have to be written. Only certain contracts have to be written. Those would be things like
things covered under the code.
Marriage has to be in writing. Property has to be in writing. So you can't sell your property, your land.
Generally something that has to go more than a year, or takes more than a year to perform all the terms.
No, that's not what makes a contract, but it has to be legal. Right. So there's no such thing as a contract killing, because murder is illegal. So that would not even be a contract. And then a contract has to have an offer and acceptance. Both sides have to accept it. So there has to be some form of consideration.
For valuable,
and it doesn't have to be money. It could be barter. Like, I'll watch your kids, and you're going to build me a shelf.
Thank you, Mr.
So, you know, that could be a contract.
Oh, yeah.
By the way,
you have to be competent to make the contract. So a child, for example, that's under the age of 18 cannot make a legal contract, because they're incompetent due to their age.
So, Sam, that agreement that you and I have is not a legally binding contract.
That's right.
It's between friends, really.
It's just friends.
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine, by the way, was
I'm underage
in DC. Yeah, in DC. And Robert Reed was there, and he said that Robert Reed hit on him. And he said he was a really nice guy. He didn't, he wasn't overt about it, but he hit on, and he said, "I'm very flattered, but I'm straight, and I have to say no." And he goes, "Well, you can't blame a man for trying." And he left a nice, and he left him a nice tip, and then told the manager he hit on me and had him fired. No, but he told, no, and he said he was very nice about it, very subtle. He kept licking his eyebrows, but besides that,
I wish Robert Reed had responded like Mr. Brady.
Exactly.
Timmy, sometimes when you say no, you really mean yes.
How great would that be? How great would that be?
That would be.
There are
so
certain
great.
things that go on between men and young boys that we keep to ourselves. It's daddy's little secret.
Timmy, have you ever noticed your mother starts rubbing against the door jamb a little too much?
There's a reason for that. We're all going to hell, except Susan. The rest
Timmy,
of us
do you
are
know
going
what
to hell.
residuals are?
I can't go to hell. Jews
That's
don't
a
believe
big
in air.
word. Do you know what that word
If there was
means?
hell, Jews would have air conditioning. Are you kidding me?
The catering will suck.
You can't beat the falafel. That's all I want to tell you.
But the portions are pretty small.
Yeah, maybe we could break bread with Donald Trump and his Nazi friends. That would be fun.
Hey, so other things in the news that I chose to leave out of the poem, by the way, were things happening in England. Who cares?
Well, King Chuck III.
I have never seen. You know what
The
that
Derby
reminded me of?
ran.
It reminded me of the Kentucky
Oh,
Derby.
It's a
All
Kentucky
this
Derby ran.
bullshit for like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
old
sadly,
nag.
7 horses died in the 6 days before the Derby. So that kind
Of
put a damper
embarrassment.
on everything.
Oh.
I love horses, and Mark and I go to the track in Northville, just
Ooh.
a town over. There's the buggy races. They're trotters at Northville Downs, and we rarely wager anything. If we do, we call it our donation to keeping Northville Downs open. But horses love to run, so it's really sad when humans get involved and make it something not good anymore, because horses do love to run, and it's fun to watch the races. And if we could just keep the wicked corruption out of it, or whatever it is that's killing horses.
Yeah,
Right,
Susan,
back
that'll
in the
work with
90s?
gambling. Yeah, you'll get the corruption out of it.
Do you know what the two most popular sports were in the United States back in the 20s?
Boxing.
Horse racing and prize fighting.
Yeah.
I believe
The
it.
team sports weren't even close. Horse racing was once the most
Football
popular
was a
sport.
minor league sport.
It was nothing.
Basketball.
Yeah, in those days.
Basketball was a minor league sport into the 60s.
Right.
Yep.
There's a lot of people don't know this. Basketball, the NBA I'm talking about, they used to, and this was true in Detroit. Detroit used to play some of their games in Fort Wayne, and they did that. They
Well, that's where
did.
the
In fact,
Pistons come from.
the Fort Wayne Pistons.
Yeah.
They did that because to attract a larger crowd. The Baltimore Bullets used to play in Washington. The Boston Celtics used to play games in Hartford. What else? That's like Minneapolis was always the Lakers. They didn't play anywhere else. I can't think of another one, but there has to be another one.
Basketball was invented in the YMCA
By a Canadian.
That's not the only thing that was invented in the YMCA.
Tell him, Jason.
Naismith is the name of the basketball inventor, and I'm going to.
Well, maybe it wasn't invented, but it was at least perfected.
My dad bought his first television set to watch Friday night boxing. That was the reason to own a TV back
Wow.
then.
My father and I watched Emil Griffith kill Benny Kid Paret.
Nice.
Well, he had it coming.
Yeah. Well,
So you had a special bond with your dad. Really.
Well, you know what happened? Was it Emil Griffith who killed? I can't remember who. Oh no, Emil Griffith. Yeah, he killed. Emil Griffith
You're thinking
was
of O.J.
bisexual, and Benny Kid Paret throughout the fight and before the fight kept calling him Matacone.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
and so what happened was, and by the way, there was a great boxing referee, Ruby Goldstein, and the reason that Benny Kid Paret was killed, well, besides the fact he was beaten to death, was, when you have heavyweights fighting, you don't have to be that close to them because they're slugging it out. They're not that fast, except for Ali. But when you have middleweights or welterweights fighting, you got to be right there. You got to be right next to them because they. And so Benny Kid Paret must have hit. Excuse me, Emil Griffith must have hit Benny Kid Paret 15 consecutive times without him hitting back, to the point that and Goldstein was on the other side of the ring, to the point that Paret slid down off the ropes.
Oh boy,
and
he's
just
done.
Sagged down.
Yeah, he's over.
And the announcer, the famous Don Dunphy, goes like this: "Well, I think the kid will be okay."
Well, you don't want to scare away
unfortunate.
But come on, everybody has two eyes that go into one socket. Stop being a punk.
Yeah, it's not a sport when somebody gets killed. It's not.
It's not always fun till someone gets killed.
And then it's awesome.
You know, and I don't want to see the horses die either, taking us back to the Derby.
Well, about to say, did the horses work for Amazon? Because then I would understand their demise. It would make a lot more sense to me.
Do they have to lift 40 pounds? No.
They do.
You can pay the horses in hay.
Well, that's what they pay them at Amazon too.
I think the jockeys are the greatest athletes. You're talking about a guy who weighs 110 pounds who's controlling a 1,500-pound horse at 60 miles an hour. Huh?
That's what I wanted to be, a jockey. But I was vertically challenged.
I like being ridden when they're about 110 pounds.
Exactly.
But it's very dangerous for the jockeys if they don't.
Only if I roll over.
That crowding in there, but it is such a great sport. It's been a hard one for women to get into being jockeys because it's very male dominated field. And there are excellent female jockeys, but they
who was a female jockey? Fred Astaire's last wife, Robin Smith.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they met. You know, he put a saddle on her, and the next thing you know, they're walking down the aisle.
Well, that particular week, she didn't make weight. Which happens a lot with the female jockeys. So
it's really
talking.
One slice of Ben's pizza and it's over.
Yeah, you're done.
Well, she used to call Fred the Stallion for a reason. So, I mean,
not a good one though, I hear.
Well, it all depends on your perspective, actually. Yeah.
There was the first time Fred Astaire ever auditioned for any movie. You know what the casting director wrote?
Yes.
Can't act, balding, dances a little.
Dances a little.
Dances a little, yep.
Right.
Oh, dear. Well, it's good to know that our audience, if there's anyone, under 70 who's watching tonight, will be.
When somebody says that, like, I don't know, that was before my time. So was the Declaration of Independence, okay, bitch? I don't want to hear it. I don't know about that because I don't read. Really?
You have a
history started on the
23-year-old
day I was
daughter.
born.
That Susan can attest to this. The younger generation, they have been just disconnected from history with technology. They've all been taught to say, well, we'll just Google. Well, Ned, you know it from hanging around from young children and your teaching jobs.
What?
The kid.
They're the same thing.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, though, the next best thing to knowing the answer is knowing where to find the answer. But
you have to want to go look for it.
You have to be careful when you Google, because there's a lot of false information out there as well.
Is it false on Google or is it more false on Wikipedia?
It depends on what information
question.
you're looking at. So I'm a paralegal, a research paralegal, and I don't just get the information I'm looking for from Westlaw and LexisNexis. I search it via Bing and Google and DuckDuckGo.
Cornell's got a great law library.
You get different results from different websites, but you have to also look, is it a legitimate source? It may be Marjorie Taylor Greene said that, and it's not very legitimate. You have to be careful at what your source is. So when I'm, for example, researching something for an attorney, I will also put the source where I found this article or this information. So,
well, you have
Cornell had a great law library that I used to access online. You know, that you get a lot of good cases there.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
Cornell has an excellent online library.
But you talk to the kids today, which I can't do because if I get within 500 feet, we all know, they don't know shit about nothing. They're very intelligent. I mean, I'm here at one of the major universities. They're very intelligent in whatever particular sphere that they are studying. But if you ask them something about something that happened in the 90s, now this isn't going back into ancient history. You just get this dull look in their eyes.
And the further south you go, the worse it is. I was watching Jordan Klepper talk to these two women, 20, 21 years old. Now get this, they were at a Trump rally. You got that? They weren't like walking down the street. They were at a Trump rally. Yeah. And he said to them, do you know what happened on January 6th? No. See, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the South call that Janteenth. Which I think is a little disrespectful, but
yeah, it is, because
that's what they say. I think people in the South would probably have a better grasp of like the Confederacy
and like lynching.
That. They could probably name all the Confederate generals, that kind of thing.
I doubt it. They could probably name. I doubt that they could probably name 3 generals, maybe. You know, but what they won't know is that Nathan Bedford Forrest founded the KKK.
I can name 3 generals: General Foods, General Motors, and General Confusion.
No, General So's chicken. But thank you for chipping in.
The general did manage to make some good chicken. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
You know, it's fun. I always imagine someone on Jeopardy, you know, who's like from Alabama. Well, going into final, which you never, let me say this clearly, because I watch it every night. You never see anyone from the Deep South on that show. Never. Unless it's New Orleans.
Well,
or Atlanta, but that's it. You know, well, going into Final Jeopardy, Steve has 8,000, Bob has 4,000, and Bill is watching.
Bill, you're in the negative, so you won't be around for Final Jeopardy.
Bill, in fact, you owe us $300.
And you will remember that Alex Trebek, you know, one of the world's smartest men, at least he thought so, was Canadian. So there's definitely a geographical relationship between IQ points and location.
The guys who invented Trivial Pursuit are from Canada.
There you go.
One of the great jokes of all time. I think he says, you know, one of the questions on Trivial Pursuit is, what president's wife was pregnant when they married? Gotcha. Now the answer is Nancy Reagan.
Okay.
And he said, and the comic says, I think that is really unfair. How would they like it if we had a question like, what prime minister of Canada's wife blew Mick Jagger? I mean, come on.
Hey, come on. She got around. It's all right. You know, Pierre didn't mind.
Well, they weren't married. I don't think they were married at the time. Well, you know, listen, she was young, much younger than him. And he was a brilliant man. He was a Nobel Prize winner in economics.
And at least he didn't kill anybody with a drone like Obama.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. Oh, no.
On the other hand, Obama never raped 24 women. So we have that
throwing it out. Who raped 24 women? Was that...
24 women have accused Donald Trump of sexual assault.
Well, okay.
He testified, grab him by the pussy. So.
Hey, Sam, do you remember the joke about Maggie Trudeau and the Rolling Stones?
Say that again, please.
The joke about
Maggie Trudeau. What about them?
The joke was the Trudeaus have put a new swimming pool into their backyard. Pierre poured the cement and Maggie laid the stones.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that is really nice.
There you go.
That was racy back.
If you told that joke on a college campus today, they would look at you like you owed them money.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
That's my point. Yeah, that these days, again, they are absolutely they don't even remember Obama that well. Mm-hmm. They really don't. They know he was president, and it's like, okay, name 3 things that he did. He's like, well, he was president, and
it would stop right there. It would stop there.
And he was president, and yeah.
Yeah,
and
I did I worked with Jay Leno for 2 years, and we did those jaywalks together, and I helped write the questions for those, and that was incredible.
Yeah,
Some of the
Those were
stuff
very
that
funny.
people of all ages did not know.
Ned, I want to ask you a question about that
Mhm.
because someone I know said to me, who lives in LA, said to me, when jaywalkers first started, they had to go a little ways to find people who didn't know the answer. And as time went on, it took less time to find dumb people.
We found dumb people from day one till the day I left.
No, that's. I'm sorry. I'm not making it clear. What
Okay,
I'm
they're
saying
not
is, let's say you
necessarily
said,
dumb, just
where is the
uneducated.
who fought in the war? Where was the war in Vietnam fought? Okay,
Yeah,
when thing first started, people would go, "Well, it's Vietnam." But as time went on, and you have to go through 10 people to find a dummy. I'm saying that after a while, you 2 people, you didn't have to go that far to find the dummy.
I didn't notice it changing. No.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty consistent. And what I encouraged Jay to do was kind of a couplet, 2 related questions, like name a Supreme Court justice, nothing. Name someone in the Supremes. They all knew that. And so we found that people knew a lot about pop culture and virtually nothing about civics.
Well, that's the thing. Nowadays, you ask some of these folks, they can tell you the names of all the Kardashians.
Right, but none of the
no one on the Supreme
none of the
Court.
Kennedys or something. Yeah,
They can't name Robert Kardashian, so everybody can kiss my ass.
Yes. they can tell you about their favorite TikTok influencer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
A
know,
lot of people don't know 4th grade civics. They don't know. They couldn't name the 3 branches of government.
Well, that's partly
crazy.
the school's fault because they stopped teaching civics.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
So
they certainly
and they
did.
stopped
Every
teaching cursive
9-year-old
writing.
should know.
One time during the Clinton years, we asked a lady who was president before Bill Clinton, and she said, "I don't know. I don't really follow politics."
My older brother was like that.
It was 4 years ago.
My older brother thought Nixon was president halfway through the 80s.
Didn't
like,
Mike Pence say he was in the legislative branch?
Oh,
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
You know what I would love? Of course, this would never happen because of legal issues, but you ask somebody in jaywalkers a question like, where's the Korean War fought? And the guy goes, I don't know. You then have the right to smack the shit out of him. Just
won't be allowed to do
right
that,
in the face and go, you should know that, you son of a bitch.
Sam,
Just
I can
bring
see.
their
but I
mother.
think legal
and
might have a
just
problem
smack
with that.
them.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying legal might have an issue with it.
You know
yeah.
how they are.
Yeah,
With-
I mean,
What's
okay,
your
Assaulting
mom
someone
on the
on
phone?
camera.
let me get this straight, Mr. Greenfield. You ask him about the Korean War, and if he answers incorrectly, you hit him in the kneecap with a tire iron. Is that your proposal?
How
Yes,
funny
but
is that?
just once.
Okay, you hit them once with a tire iron. Is that in the right or left kneecap? Yeah.
Are they right or left kneed?
And again, he would be baffled. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, that
Hey,
I
did
mean,
you
I would
know
be
that the
here-
horse that won the Kentucky Derby was Venezuelan and had 380 some owners? Everybody in the town that horse
380 owners?
380 plus owners, yes, because everybody in the town bought a piece of that racehorse.
Oh, I've been on an
Oh,
OnlyFans
to get
page
that
where
horse
they have
into
a
the-
similar.
What was his
Yeah,
name?
of course.
Kunta Kinte?
I forget now. I didn't have the money, but I thought that was pretty cool. Everybody in that small town in Venezuela.
So
Amazon
do they
that
get to spend a
horse.
night with the horse?
They
like
could-
like
they could
like the
even-
trophy?
If
could
they
even
play their
invest
cards
in the
right.
racehorse. I hear he's hung like a horse. Wow. And his
Susan.
life is made now. Now he'll just be a stud.
And then when he breaks a leg, they all get a steak dinner.
Oh, there you go.
That's right.
Oh,
No, you have
Or
to
their
go to
dog does.
McDonald's for that. No, I'm
they'll be putting
Just
him out
kidding.
to.
Yeah, you know,
I'm-
if you think about it, if the horse doesn't break any bones, okay?
Yeah.
Think about the life Secretariat had. He
Yeah.
won
Yep.
the Triple Crown.
Pretty sweet.
Yep.
Oh, he won the Triple Crown, and then he fucked for the next 23 years.
Yeah.
I would run 3 races for that. That is a deal I would take. Absolutely. And I would be. I definitely. You need to pump me up with some drugs. Do it. right here. Hit me.
Same with
Hit me.
Seabiscuit.
let's
Seabiscuit
do-
had a long retirement.
Seabiscuit, yep.
I'm going to tell you, every once in a while, just for grins, I watch whatchamacoozy, his race, the Belmont Stakes,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's just staggering. I mean, he won by 23 lengths.
Yeah. Nothing was close. Yeah.
He loved to run.
Yeah, it was
and
amazing.
They all love to run, but
horses do.
it's like,
But
what is the horse in second place? What's his jockey saying?
That was
This is
Alley.
it?
Wasn't the second place horse Alydar, or am I wrong about that?
I don't think it was Aladar.
No,
don't
because
remember.
Seattle's flu was
No,
next
that was
year.
Aladar and affirmed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You have no, you have the wrong race.
Yeah. No, I know the next year Seattle Slew won.
And then I think Lady Camilla placed.
well, the first, second, and third place horses
Right.
are in the money, so they all do very, very well.
No, she bucked the saddle, I hear.
Yeah, it was English riding. They call it.
No, oh dear,
Yes.
oh dear, oh dear.
No
Yeah.
side saddle? Very
No.
disappointing.
Not with that one.
You just have to climb on top, honey. Close your eyes and think of England.
Yeah, I love when someone does a Camilla joke and someone says, that's not nice. I said, if you think there's a chance in hell, she's going to find out I said this.
Yeah. Well, she's probably watching tonight. So
Yeah. I can't believe that little Jew said that about me. Oh,
I say,
oh,
Right,
no
Jeff.
Christmas card for you.
Charles.
Well, they
Charles.
actually
Here, do money.
arrested. They arrested some of the people that were protesting the coronation, saying we want
Yeah,
republic. We don't want a monarchy anymore.
Yeah.
And they were arrested
Something.
protesters.
If you go to an event that costs millions and millions and millions of dollars on stage,
250 million pounds.
Do you know what it costs?
Wow.
125
Yeah,
million
and he didn't pay, and he's a billionaire.
and
he
you
didn't
and you
pay
hold
for
up a
his
sign
own-
saying, I think this is wrong, and you don't expect to get arrested, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Of course you're going
Well,
to get
in
arrested.
America, you don't. See, they don't have the right
Oh,
to refuse like
bullshit.
we have here.
No,
So,
they don't.
You
They
try
don't
to
have
put
what?
you
something-
might get
You
arrested
say
here
the wrong
too,
thing
but
in the
it's
wrong place,
sensible.
and you will get a knock on the door. I mean, no, don't kid yourself. There are plenty of people of late who've seen the tender mercies of our law enforcement agencies.
Oh, I'm not
Um,
saying that they always get it right.
No,
but-
they don't.
But
And having run through the
you
system
have
myself,
a right, even if you don't know what that right is.
Speaking of not right,
British rights are different.
yes, they are.
Donald Trump Jr. just complained vociferously that he's very upset with Fox News because you're going to love this. He has not been on the show in 10 weeks.
And he won't. And even if he is, who cares? No one's going to watch it
And he
anyway.
can count to 10.
Yeah.
But I don't think he knows what vociferously means though.
Fox
Yeah.
News is
Well,
now
that
being
was my word. I don't think.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
say given their recent ratings crash, Fox has often been referred to as Foxwiser. And,
Very nice.
Yeah, that's not
Very
me.
nice.
Yeah, and
His
and it
girlfriend,
may
is it his
continue that
girlfriend or
way.
fiance?
Fiance.
She cost Fox News $4 million
Right.
because
Yeah, she used to be on the
she showed dick pics in the break room.
Hmm.
She hit
You
on a
say
woman.
that like a bad thing.
She hit on a woman
Yeah.
to the point that the woman had to quit, and that's the woman who won the $4 million.
Right.
Mm.
Well,
I sat next to her at when I used to work at Fox News. I sat next to her at a panel, and the only thing I remember about I can't remember her name. The only thing I can't remember
it
about
Guilfoyle?
Kimberly Guilfoyle. The only
Yeah.
thing I can't remember about her was her makeup was amazingly thick.
Hmm.
Amazing. I mean, like
put
she
it on
must
with a
have really
spatula
bad
kind of thing.
skin.
Almost as thick as Donald's. Now, what did you do at Fox News, Sam?
I had a TV show on Fox News. I had a show called the Insiders. It was a what am I trying to say? It wasn't a news show. We had Judy Gold and a woman named Judy Birnbach,
Uh-huh.
and they would show snippets of different news stories or gossip stories, and we would just comment with them funny, joke here and
Oh
there.
God, that sounds like a great show.
And it had the highest ratings of any weekend show in the history of Fox News. but went off the air. And I understood this, by the way. I wasn't happy about it, but I understood it. After 9/11, they took all those shows off the air, and I understood that because no one no one wanted to see that shit anymore, especially in New York. No one wanted to see it except me and my family. But except for that, but they wouldn't let us do anything about Giuliani.
No, of course not.
Because he officiated Ailes's wedding.
He was the mayor of America.
By the way, you know why he was made? I said this before, but Ned wasn't here. Do you know why he won Time Magazine? He was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. The reason is
no.
Hi, Mark.
The reason is that Time Magazine, it's the person who, for better or worse, makes the most news that year.
Right.
So it was Hitler one year, right?
Yes.
Twice.
But they were thinking about making it Osama bin Laden. But one of the senior editors said, if you make Osama bin Laden the Person of the Year and put him on the cover, people in New York are going to burn down news kiosks.
As well they should.
Yeah.
And I agree. So they had to pick someone else, and they picked him.
Well, do you remember, skipping ahead a few years, the Boston Marathon bombers, the week after they were captured, one was killed, one was incarcerated, and Rolling Stone had a very nice touched picture of the one that's still alive on the cover of their magazine, making him look rather dreamy and appealing.
Yeah, that was insane.
And all that guy did was put a pressure cooker next to a 9-year-old girl who was damn near vaporized.
Yeah, no, that was insane. But that's what's his name for you? The guy who runs Rolling Stone, Jan Wenner.
Yeah, Jan Wenner. I don't know if he's in charge of it anymore, but
he was in charge. But I don't know if he is
but he probably sold off at some point.
But I'll tell you, when he, I saw this documentary about the Go-Go's, and they did a piece about the fact that they didn't want him to. What am I trying to say? They talked about the fact that the Go-Go's were like promiscuous.
Well, they don't have to worry about that from Jan.
What the Go-Go's put out, that was the name of the title. And they were pissed about it. Yeah. And so they had their agent call Jan Wenner and said, that really wasn't something that, and he goes, you were on the cover of the Rolling Stone. You should be fucking grateful, and hung up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then he blew a copy boy. So you see,
exactly. It's not like Jan put any fingerprints on the girls. That's for
sure. Look, when you have the right to free speech, there are restrictions. You can't yell fire in a theater. You can't defame somebody. You can't.
What was the second one?
Or perjure, or
what was the second one after fire in the theater? I didn't hear you.
Defaming someone.
Yeah, defamation, libel, slander.
Yeah,
these things are illegal. And then if you lie in court, for example, that's perjury.
That's perjury.
So the right to free speech doesn't mean you get to just.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
So
no, it's true though. You can't injure someone with your words. That's
right. That's why papers have to print those dumb little retractions. And
I think the First Amendment really refers to political beliefs and your power to express them. It doesn't mean anything you say.
Exactly. So the right to free speech still has boundaries. And I think some of the people in Congress now don't even know that.
Because in Congress they can say anything they want from the congressional floor.
If I say I think that so and so is a pedophile, is that slanderous?
Well, if you say you think, then there's some room for doubt.
Probably not.
But you better not say that person is.
That's what I was thinking.
And remember, when you speak in slander, if you publish it, then it's a libel. It all comes under defamatory speech. Slander
in writing is libel, but the best defense against libel and slander is the truth.
But also, if you are on the floor of the Congress or Senate, you may say anything you want.
That is true.
If you are
it's true.
And if you're like on the way to the Senate and you're drunk and you're driving drunk, all you need to say is you're going to the Senate or to the House, or that you're a Kennedy. And
you just took the words out of my mouth. I can't believe you did that. I was actually going to do that one.
Sorry, but
when you said driving drunk, I just assumed you meant a Kennedy.
Exactly.
Well, around here it could be. Yeah, definitely.
There was an ad when National Lampoon was a great magazine, and the ad showed a Volkswagen floating in water up to the window. You know this one,
Yeah,
Ned?
I do.
And
I
it
do,
said,
yeah.
and it said, if Ted Kennedy had been driving a Volkswagen, he'd be president today.
So
That
funny.
that sounds like that might have been a PJ O'Rourke because he was
Well,
a
that's
writer
question
there.
to
I
Ask
wouldn't be
people on
surprised.
the street, do they know
Pretty
what
great.
happened at Chappaquiddick?
You know, the woman who drowned, Mary Jo Kopechne,
You mean the one who was murdered?
ninth grade,
Yes.
that was my ninth grade math teacher's roommate in college.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I always wish that Ted Kennedy could have been a little more middle of the road.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Ned.
Especially after.
Well,
Ow.
But I'm ching.
oh,
Don't bump me. That's a good fucking
That's
joke.
a
exactly. And
damn
by the
good-
way, I'd like to
that's
speak
a-
for all comics. When
Yeah.
we tell a civilian a joke and they go bump, I want to punch him in the face.
Don't
Or you
punch
could use the.
I hate that. Don't do that. Don't do that shit. No, I don't care, Pete. We do, but I hate bump. Go fuck yourself. How's
I don't
go
like that.
bump?
I'm
Fuck
not a
yourself.
fan.
I hate that shit because you're telling me, oh, that joke. What it means to me is, oh, that joke's hack.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not
it wasn't
flattering.
hack when I whispered in your mother's ear at the no-tell motel. You piece of shit.
I like the corny jokes and the puns.
I don't think I'm expressing enough anger with that, but
Really?
bump. You want to bump? I'll give you. I sound like my dad. I'll give you a bump.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Don't forget the ching.
My father said something once when I was like 7 years old. He did this every day for like 2 years. We would sit down to eat, and he would say, "When did I tell you this?
I don't
when,
think
my, when my father came to this country, he had $5, and then we would all sit down to eat." He said it every night. So one night, my mother, who was a very soft-spoken woman, she's dishing out dinner, and he goes, "When my father came to this country, he had $5." And my mother says, "Oh, really, Rob? And what did he have when he died? $8. Oh my God. He was a financial wizard. Son of a bitch. He's like a Rockefeller, except he was a Jew and stupid." And the kids were sitting there going, "She's going to kill him."
Yeah.
He never said it again.
Oh, I
Well,
would.
what year was that? Because
Well, let
Henry
me see.
Ford,
I was 8, so it was 1904.
Henry Ford paid $5 a day, and that was a day's wages, and it was huge.
It was good money.
You're not making $5 a
Good money.
day.
It's good
No,
money.
but not when you have $5. Yeah, but not when you have. Don't kill the story, Susan. But not when you have,
What a day's wages.
in 1908, it would have been like a week's salary. So therefore, stop it.
Well, but
It
you
wouldn't have
said
been
he
enough
came
to
this
support a
country.
family of. Let me say this clearly: 8.
He wouldn't
Not
have
so
made
long, no.
He wouldn't have made the 5 outside of the country if he worked at Ford. So
Exactly.
it kind of.
Damn you, Susan.
My grandparents moved to Dearborn.
Damn you
because
and your
of that.
clever poetry.
My.
I know a little bit of history. What can I
Good for
say?
you.
I'll
Good
give you
for
history.
I've
You
been
want
alive
history?
for most of history.
I came to this country with 5 pieces of history. 5.
Right, 5. And what did I wind up with? Funky
8.
Wagnalls.
That's
Hey,
right.
it's after
$5.
9.
Well, I guess after
Thanks,
the 40
everybody.
pieces of silver got
Thanks for
spent, I guess.
listening to my poem.
Oh dear.
Thanks
oh,
for writing
Bye,
it.
everybody.
We are bordering on. We are now bordering on 9 on what the 8:59.
Well, what has Mark been doing? Has he been
No,
this?
our daughter had a flat tire and she forgot her AAA card. so
Oh, son of-
oh.
Daddy to the rescue. And
Have her do what my
Okay.
father would have me do:
Here
steal
comes
another
Mark.
car.
Tell you the story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say adios.
Good
Okay.
night,
Good night,
Susan.
everybody.
My poem.
Thank you for the
We're all
poem.
healing soon.
All right, everybody. It was a gas and a giggle. Have a lovely evening.
You.
And now I'm going to
Oh,
watch
Mark's-
the Knicks get their ass kicked in the second half, and then I'm going to watch the Lakers and the Warriors.
Oh, very nice.
Good night.
There you go.
Good night, guys. Stay well.
I'm going to hit on Andy and Ned at the same time. Oh, now, Ned, here comes Mark.
Here
Here's
comes
Mark.
Mark.
Coming in.
Looks like he's coming back. Oh, there we go. He
He's
speaks.
coming to close out.
Who did we lose? Did we lose Susan and Ned?
Yeah, they both dropped out.
Yeah, there goes Sam.
Sam.
Catch you next week. Hey, this coming
All right.
Sunday is Mother's Day. Are we doing an unclub?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Good. I'm going to do
I think we
an
did
all mother set.
I think we did last year.
I'm going to try and do an all mother set. I don't know if it's going to go over well or not, but let's see what happens.
I'm sure.
All
I'm
right.
sure stories of your mother will be good.
All right, I'm gonna end the show and try to get unstranded. So
Okay.
Do you
I'll
need
talk
help
to you
out
guys.
there?
I'll talk
Are
to
you going to need help getting the tire fixed or something?
Trill's trying to get off the air. Okay.
what happened? I'll tell you guys later. I got to get out of here. I got to
All
clear
right.
my line.
All
Goodbye,
right, man.
sir.
Talk to you later. Have a good night.
Talk to you later.
Yep.